Welcome back to another episode in the series as we try to build a flight sim in Minecraft. Last time we figured out how to bridge this TNT gap and got the shulker boxes to flow across it and into the screen. This time we've got a pretty big challenge ahead of us. By the end of the episode, I want to be able to control each pixel on the screen with individual inputs. So at this point, we're going to have to make some pretty big decisions that'll affect the rest of the build. For starters, we need to decide how many colors this screen will display. Basically, the more colors we have, the bigger and slower it'll be. So we need to decide how few colors we can get away with while still making it look like a flight sim. I mocked up a couple designs here. I think we can do it in just 4 colors. I figured it might look something like this, but bear in mind it'll probably look a little different in the end. This is just to give us a rough idea of how many colors we need. So we need blue and green for the sky and grass, and then with the gray and white I think I could make things look like a runway and buildings. And the blue could also double as water, so if we want to make a lake or something. Alright, so the question is how do we build a machine that allows us to control for each of the 4 colors on each pixel? So that's 15 times 7 times 4 is 420 input lines that we need to account for. And keeping in mind that I want this fast, compact, and not too laggy. Something else to watch out for while designing this is I need it to be one wide tileable. I think I'm going to send the shulker boxes down dropper lines since I can make these instant, but I have to be careful how I power them. Okay, I don't know exactly what's going on here. Probably something to do with the update order, but this obviously isn't reliable. So I need to power them from the top or the bottom via observers like this. So I'll have to leave enough room for the control lines. Alright, here's the first most basic idea I had. If this is the output line, I could send the different colors up into it, but this way I can't have a lot of shulker boxes since they don't stack. I could do it like this, but it'll take up quite a bit of space if I need to have 4 different color lines into the output line. Plus, I'd need a lot of hoppers feeding down to get lots of shulker boxes. I'd love for this thing to be able to run at least a few minutes before it runs out of boxes. This one here, different concept. Instead of shooting the boxes into the output line, I lock hoppers, but I don't know, it seems big and laggy. Alright, this is one way I could power the dropper lines down into the output line. It'll get pretty long. If I have 4 rows of pixels times 4 colors, I'll have a really long output line that I need to power, so that's more lag. I think I want to use walls. They've got a few benefits. They're instant, I can tile them one wide, and there's no redstone. Another idea I had is I could space them out a bit by adding another barrel and hopper between, so I don't need the redstone on the other side to power a downward facing dropper line. Okay, let's try something different. What about using a crafter? It would allow me to stack a bunch of dies and then just have one big line of shulker shells that I can dye. Let me see what I can do here. So if I feed the die on this side and the shulker box is from the top, then power the crafter, it spits out a colored box. So I think I can use this kind of setup to send different dies up, over, craft it, and then shoot it out down a dropper line into the main output line. Alright, so I power them with observers, it shoots up a die, then power this dropper, and now we should have a colored box here. Okay, I like this idea. Let me play around with it a bit and see what I can figure out, and figure out how to power these. Okay, I came up with something. It's pretty compact, so I can shoot 4 different colors up, and then shoot it over, drop a shulker box in the crafter, power it, and boom, got a colored box. So now how do I power these? Let me test some stuff. Okay, I think I figured it out. So if I update the wall here, it sends a signal down, over, and up, and this drops a die into this line. And then to power this line, I just power this block here. And the rails update in reverse order, so furthest to closest. And then these update the observers, which update the rails below, and power this line from back to front, while also powering the observer, which powers the crafter. And here's our box. Cool. All right, time to try put this together. So I'm going to do 4 on one side and then 3 on the other so I can control 7 pixels and then stack them 15 next to each other so I get 15 times 7 pixels. Let's try this. Okay, here it is. So I stacked 4 of these shulker box generators on one side of the screen and 3 on the other side. So this should allow us to do 7 pixels for each vertical line, and then the whole thing is 1 wide, so I should be able to tile it 15 wide, which gives us inputs to control the entire screen. Getting power to the droppers was a little tricky. Basically, I'm using rails on top or below observers, which then power the dropper, as well as the dropper next to it. So that way I just have to power every other dropper, which reduces the redstone quite a bit. So if we trace one of these lines, here's our section that creates a colored box, sends it over and down into this main dropper line. And then this dropper line feeds all the way over to our TNT gap, which we made in the last episode. So I should be able to take this slice and now clone it 15 wide. Let's try that. And this is what it looks like. So starting to get bigger. You can see I took out a slice of what we built last time and just added it to this part of the machine. So next time we're going to build the control mechanisms that go on either side of this machine. Those control circuits are going to essentially fire all of these droppers in sequence so that we can move the shulker boxes all the way down and into the screen. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.